Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 17th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Dare I say, maybe great. I don't know. But yeah, let me go ahead and get into my day. Today has been it's been a good day. I like almost like so much so that I think I'm like a little bit like overstimulated about it. Which hey, whatever. These things happen. Sometimes things just go good, and you just kind of start vibrating. You know what I mean? But yeah, let me kind of just run it down. How did the day go? How the day went. So we wake up. We get after it. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I forgot to say that in my excitement. Obviously, I hope the energy finds you well. Hopefully, you're vibrating too. But yeah, we get to work. It's cold, but not as cold as it has been, so that's already a plus. I will say, starting off the day, my parking spot still taken. That was a bit of an annoyance at the top of the day, but hey, we moved. We kind of expected that anyway. It's all good. So we get to work. Work is working, and I proceed to have this very offhand conversation with one of the guys in maintenance, and we're talking, and I'm like, hey man, it'd be crazy if you just like gave me a loan so that I could get a PlayStation 5. And he was just like, oh, well, what do you want to play with it? And I was like, oh, well, I want to play Marvel Rivals. I don't know, man. I know it's so nerdy. And I just explained the whole situation to him. And he's like, okay, yeah, I got you. And I was like, are you serious? And like, I don't know if y'all have this situation or have this issue. I definitely do, where like, sometimes if I'm talking to a person, if a conversation is either going really well or really bad, or the conversation is just taking a turn that I didn't expect, whether it's good or bad, whatever, or indifferent, I sometimes will get sweaty. I will just get like my body will have a visceral reaction to it, like, oh my gosh. And so literally, dude is just like, yeah, man, I got you. Like, he was homey enough with me that he's like, I got it on me. You're going to pay me back, right? I'm like, yes. I just did my taxes. Like, I just got to wait for that to come through. And like, I got you. And he's like, well, I got you. So y'all, like, not to spoil it, but yes, we are a proud owner of a PS5. Ha ha ha. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. I decided to just get the digital version because, like I said, I'm really just getting this for Marvel Rivals and then Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out later this year. So yeah, I mean, it was cheaper to do it that way, though. I mean, I read some things. It's like, hey, overall, it's probably better to get the disc. You pay a little bit more money, but like, it's just better value, especially if you want a full value of a PlayStation. Like, you want the Blu-ray player, all that kind of shit, and not to mention the ability to play your older games and new games on the disc. But overall, like, I had a PlayStation 4 that literally the disc drive died, and it was like, oh, cool. So I guess, like, I don't know, fuck my collection. So I've kind of just been on that wave anyway. I don't have any intention of playing any of my old games. Honestly, thinking about just kind of saying, one of these days, sooner or later, just throwing out all of it. Because what am I going to get, 10 cents or something, at GameStop for all my fucking collection if I tried to liquidate it? And credit, like, it's just not worth it, man. They even took them. I don't even know what their policy is on that shit. So that being said, I haven't turned it on yet. Haven't even like hooked it up. I've been busy with my usual stuff. Just with the working out, with the, obviously we're podcasting right now. I got responsibilities. So yeah, hopefully I can get into it later tonight, even though it's already a later night for me right now. I haven't even eaten yet. But hey, we move. It's all good. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to cover here. Oh, kind of, since we got to move on, talk about the food corner. Also, though, last night I went ahead and shaved my head, which I'm sure you're thinking, like, you shaved your head in the middle of winter. Yeah, I know that. New listeners, hi, hello, it's Isaiah. I'm like this. Yeah, I just like to at least shave my head at least once a month at this point, even. So, I was letting it get a little long. I was starting to feel a little too long for me, feeling a little too shaggy. So took the clippers to it. That felt good, even though, honestly, I did it at the best time because like I said, today was a little bit warmer. We had like even up to the 40s. So I was like, all right, I can rock this little bald head a little bit. I can take the beanie off, huh? So yeah, that was nice. That was good. But yeah, let's talk about the food. What did I eat last night? I made a hamburger, two hot dogs, and some fries. And I gotta say, it was good. Obviously, I don't want to say obviously. Sometimes I do fuck it up every once in a while, but no, it was good. I do feel like burgers and hot dogs. Really though, my favorite meal. I don't know if I've ever. I'm sure I've said this before. But burger and hot dog or burger and fries are my favorite meal. That's my favorite. You know, on my 21 question, what's your favorite food? That's that for sure with a bullet. That being said, I do like a good hot dog, and when I was younger, I used to go to McDonald's and more or less get either two like doubles or something to that effect, and then a fry, or I would get a like a double or a McChicken. I will say though, when they started doing the triples at McDonald's, I was getting in them. Oh boy, those are good times. Anyway, overall though, I kind of came to this realization. I like because like I've been doing this shit now for what about 4 months in terms of working out. I won't say I'm dieting because I'm really not. Y'all know what I eat every fucking day. It's not a diet. I'm dirty bulking for life. I don't know. But I've noticed that out of all my like big meals, my big back meals, the burger, hot dog, fries is actually not too terrible. Like I usually wind up losing weight when I do that. At least when I go from the soup night into the burger night, like it tends to actually be pretty good as opposed to like the top two meals that I usually eat, which is the beef and rice and then the pasta. Those tend to be like my big meals. Like I tend to gain weight on those for sure. But hey, that comes with the territory. You know how it goes. I'm a eater. I gotta eat. Anywho, I think that about wraps us up for the blogging, the personal corner. We can go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. I feel like I got a pretty stacked docket to go through today, but so it goes, so it goes. You know I love to yap, and we love to talk about some news. All right, all right, all right. Okay. All right, that hit the spot. All right. Our first story comes from ABC News. TikTok says it will be forced to go dark until, or I'm sorry, TikTok says it will be forced to go dark unless it gets definitive statement from the White House. Social media platform TikTok said it will be forced to go dark on Sunday unless the White House gives a definitive statement about its future. The company said in an announcement Friday night. The announcement came after the Supreme Court earlier in the day upheld a law set to ban TikTok unless the platform severs ties with China-based parent company ByteDance by Sunday. So, big update here. I was kind of personally wanting to wait to cover this story till Sunday, but then I realized a couple things. One, the ban was going to take place at 12 o'clock, like midnight. So essentially, like Sunday night, it was going to, or I mean, not Sunday, or Saturday night, essentially, it was going to take effect. And then two, I wasn't sure when the Supreme Court was going to actually issue their ruling. And they issued it like, hey, Friday, was it afternoon or whatever, maybe earlier, whatever. So essentially them saying, hey, no, and also it was unanimous. Like both sides, of the supercharged majority, conservative, whatever, said, hey, we think TikTok has to do this, and they also were very adamant to say, hey, this is specific to TikTok because it is owned by a foreign adversary. Like that is why we are making the decision that we are making it. We love tech. Even though we also love to like tell you guys what to do when it suits us, or at least try to tell you what to do and say that we're doing our job or whatever. Essentially they're saying this is only about TikTok and ByteDance and them having to divest. If they don't do that, then, it is what it is. That's not on us. That's what the law is. That's what we want to uphold. So that made it for me like, okay, well, we might as well talk about this shit tonight. Why not? And also, kind of clicking around, it got me here because I thought, hey, like, because people have been, gesturing, like saying or thinking, whatever, saying, hey, even though this could go down, TikTok could fight it. TikTok could, um, maybe do some kind of inroads, or like it's more also about the servers. I think it's like Oracle server or whatever, who like has all the data or whatever. They could still kind of run rogue, and we could still have at least access to TikTok. But TikTok coming out and saying, hey, we are just gonna go dark, because we don't really want the smoke in that regard, unless Donald Trump, the White House, comes in and actually says, hey, we're going to work something out here. Which essentially Donald Trump has been saying. He has done an about face when he initially said, hey, I want TikTok gone. I don't like it. But then, throughout the election race, he's like, no, I'm on a new beat. I'm on a new wave. And we talked about that before. People have talked to him, had some meetings, had some conversations. And then he's also come out and said, hey, I actually did see the numbers. They put the data in front of my face, and they said, hey, like, these young kids are really reacting to you. Like, you're getting a lot of clicks. You're getting a lot of attention off of this. It's working. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, all signs point to him saying, hey, I'm going to intercede and actually keep TikTok around. But that being said, it's the 19th. The 20th is when our new God Emperor slithers into power. So we have to kind of let this happen. And TikTok saying, hey, we're going to go dark. That's big. Like, that makes me go, oh, okay. So that means not even the inroads might not even work. And not to mention, I think everyone had the idea and understanding of like, oh, sorry. Sorry for the jump scare. That's not supposed to happen. The sound came on my thing. We thought, sorry, I got to collect my thoughts, that like, okay, there won't be any more updates. So TikTok as it is right now would exist, and all you had to do was just have it downloaded on your phone. I remember the last time this happened was like Flappy Bird, because that app was like kind of an addictive little, trendy little thing that came through, and you flap your bird around and you go through around the pipes. But eventually they stopped the app. But if you had the app on your phone, you can keep playing Flappy Bird. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of makes your phone a little unique in that regard, at least for the niche freaks who were Flappy heads. I don't know, Flappy fanatics. I'm just giving them names. But essentially, TikTok would kind of work like that, but the app would decay because there's no new updates to it. Meanwhile, the original is going to, or like the main, like TikTok as it is still being updated, and it would just run slower and worse and just not be a thing. But TikTok saying, hey, we're just going to go dark, that means, damn, so come Sunday, it might just be Jover. So if you're listening to this podcast on TikTok, thank you so much. It's been cool to just, I feel like, around March, I think I started posting on TikTok, and I like immediately saw the growth, like crazy. And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, like it was just big, but like I'm just gonna, behind the scenes here, I go from seeing like the 5 or so, on a good episode, show up on my Spotify, but then I might see like 30 to even like maybe 50 sometimes on a TikTok episode. So that's cool. You just see like more than double, triple the numbers or whatever the hell. And that's great. I love to see that. And then even on YouTube, I've had episodes that flash in the pan, and they've been, some of my biggest viewed. But that being said, like, then I have episodes that are goose eggs, just 0, 0, 0, 0. And that's fine. Hey, that's okay. I'm a small bean. I've accepted this. But it's nice to, once again, almost always go to TikTok and at least see like 10 plus people have watched the episode, or at least scrolled past it. I'll take it. Okay. So I'm going to miss that if TikTok does wind up going belly up. But as we kind of mosey along here, something I did want to mention, if you still want to get that TikTok vibe, there are substitutes. I'm sure, you already know about them if you're interested. The buzz has been going around, but Red Note was one I tried. Now that one is like, look, if TikTok is, doing some subversion here with your data potentially, and oh my gosh, big China, this is literally a China app, like, quote unquote, I should say. Like, this is, an app that is literally, like, part of it is in Chinese in terms of, like, you logging on and getting onto it. And then, most of the app is in English. It's pretty easy to navigate it. That being said, I mean, the first like 5 minutes, you're getting called a TikTok refugee, which I don't know. Call me a blue-haired leftist or some shit, but that feels problematic. I don't think you should be calling people TikTok refugees. But you'll get one of those. You'll get a how to speak Mandarin, how to learn Mandarin Chinese, ni hao. Like, they just start telling you how to do this shit, and then you get some guy who is like a guy or gal trying to tell you the way of the ropes on Red Note, how's it going, or what to do. At one point they say, hey, maybe be nice and do help a kid with their homework. Pause. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I don't think I would even be able to help a child with homework. Their shit's probably like light years ahead of me at this point. My old ass feeble brain. No way. So no, I don't want to do that with my free time. No, thank you. And then they're like, oh, don't do this and don't do that. And it's a little weird. Also, I was kind of talking about this with my friend, and they kind of disagree with me, and that's understandable. But I didn't feel like the app was as sticky as, like, let's say a TikTok. Like, I thought it was interesting for, once again, about 5 minutes, because, like, ooh, look at you, you're on this new little app. Oh, fuck the government, I guess. I'm giving all these motherfuckers my data. Not that I really give a shit about data or privacy. Y'all know me. I'm butt naked out here with this shit. I don't give a damn. But sorry, I'm losing my thought. I'm losing my train of thought again. I'm gonna take a water break. Oh yeah. The water did not help my brain. I'm coasted. But the app to me just felt like, okay, this is cool, but it kind of doesn't feel like TikTok. I don't feel like as engaged to each and every one of the things. And it almost felt like Reels. That's what I was eventually going to meander to. And my friend was like, kind of. No, it still feels like TikTok to me. And I'm like, okay, cool. But, like, hearing other people's opinion of it as well, and then we kind of looked it up individually, it's like TikTok meets Instagram meets Pinterest. And, like, once I heard those three in combination, I'm like, yeah. And then I also mentioned to them, I'm like, you know what I really want? I want Douyin. Or I want, like, whatever the main one is. I think that one's probably more poppin' and cool, but, like, we're completely, like, siphoned away from that, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. I don't know. I've not done the research on that. I'm not really looking into it. Anyway, another one that you can look into if you're not interested in Red Note, I believe, is Lemon 8. I haven't checked that one out at all, but I might download it at some point and report back. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the state of TikTok at this point. We will see what happens come Sunday. So I will at least, for once again, my TikTok listeners, I will probably post at least, one more episode? Yeah, one more. And then we'll see what happens when it goes dark. And, I'll see you on the other side, I hope. That being said, you can always listen on YouTube. You can always listen on Spotify. You can always listen on, I don't know. Like, I'm all around. Like, you can find me, all right? And you can DM me. We can talk about news or whatever in a non-parasocial weird way. Anyway, let's go ahead and move along. Sorry, I kind of got literally glitched out there. These things happen. Look, once again, I'm a small bean. I'm just a little guy. Who just came here to yap. Anyway, let's go to Politico for our next story. Biden commutes sentences for 2,500 nonviolent drug offenders in one of his final acts. Man, he's just trying to get it all in. He's just trying to go balls out, okay? Because once again, this legacy, you gonna remember me. You gonna remember me, Jack. You gonna remember all this malarkey. Anyway, President Joe Biden will commute the sentences of nearly 2,500 nonviolent drug offenders in one of his final official actions before leaving office. The people receiving the commutations have been serving disproportionately long sentences compared to the sentences they would receive today under current law, policy, and practice. He said in a statement announcing Friday's action. For Biden, now just 4 days from the end of a 50-year political career, the commutations are a final attempt to acknowledge and repair the impact of the 1994 crime bill he authored in the Senate that led to increases in incarceration, disproportionately affecting communities of color. Yeah, they used to call him Crime Bill Joe. So, and once again, it does not undo that. It's a cool gesture, and he goes out of his way to add that it's like, hey, I've done the most now. Like, I've done the most pardons. And it's like, cool, dude, but you were also, like, your career was kind of built on just locking up bunches of people of color. And you're just like, yeah, dude, that's what we should be doing. Like, that is the American justice system. Like, that is the law that I want to make and have upheld. So, like, cool that you've had this, like, change of heart now that you're barely senile or whatever, and you're looking for points at the end of the fucking run. But, cool. Now, go next. Go on. Like, once, whatever, man. Let's see. Yeah, and then they just go into, more talk about the Hunter Biden pardon, the potential preemptive pardons and stuff like that. But we've already talked about that. That's already old news for us. So let's move on from one old guy to another. Actually, technically, we've talked about 3 old guys between Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Rudy Giuliani. Dude, that's like a fucking future graveyard, dude. Oh, my God, dude. So many oldies. Anyway, from ABC News. Giuliani gets to keep apartments, World Series rings in settlement with election workers. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm stifling the urge to boo. I am. I'm sitting on my tomatoes for right now. Because at the end of the day, and I immediately, just for like a quick example, just like the Alex Jones, Sandy Hook situation, we had those families, and it's like they had such a good turnout for the verdict and everything. You want to see them just vaporize Alex Jones. You want to see InfoWars get completely flipped by The Onion. You want it all, right? But sometimes you do have to curb that, because at the end of the day, Jones doesn't have that money. He's going to have to, like, come to something in between that, right? Well, let's find a common ground so everyone can kind of get what they want and can, quote unquote, live with whatever. You take it. This is much like that, right? So let's continue. The former New York City mayor had been a no-show to his non-jury civil trial that was set to begin Thursday in Manhattan federal court. The proceedings had been adjourned till Tuesday. So, essentially this guy doesn't even have the fucking the decency to show up. He had the fucking cruelty in his heart to talk about these 2 women who were doing election work, and I know I should have their names at the ready, but I don't. Actually, here we go. A jury found Giuliani liable in 2023 of defaming Freeman and Moss by falsely accusing them of tampering with the 2020 presidential vote in Georgia, and awarded the 2 election workers a $148 million judgment. Now, they were, getting his World Series rings. I believe that, they didn't wind up getting him. He gets to keep that. He gets to keep the apartment. That was another thing that was on the list. The former New York City mayor has already turned over a Mercedes and other assets to the women, but had been fighting to keep the condo, which he claims as his permanent residence. And also, he was like really fighting over the rings, which we've mentioned before. Also, it's Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. I didn't want to say their full names, but I lost it in the weeds. Gosh, my brain is just Swiss cheese today. I'm sorry. He had been saying, like, oh, these rings, like, you don't know what my dad had to do to get these rings. No, but he was like, these are like prized possessions. It's really important to me to not have to give these up. Like, I thought I was going to be able to give these to my kids. Blah, 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 blah. Cry, 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 cry. Maybe you shouldn't have lied on these women to the effect and detriment that you did. But another key part of this settlement is not just the money, which is undisclosed how much he's giving up. Also, I don't think he actually has to say anymore like guilt or anything like that. He doesn't have to, plea or anything like that, or actually say in a statement. I don't know, but essentially, um, gosh, please forgive me, y'all. Um, he can't say anything bad about the two women. He can't say anything bad about Freeman and Moss, and that's good because he really has been like, even though this shit has been over with, he's been found guilty. He just like does the opposite of keep his mouth shut. He just has to go out and say like and defend himself and how he was right and how like there was actually nothing proved that disproved what he says. Like just wild shit to me. So I'm glad that these women are getting at least a portion of the justice that was allotted to them. But once again, kind of going back up to the top, yeah, I want his pockets ran through. I do. I want him fiscally put over a barrel. I do. You caught me on it, okay? Because like fuck Giuliani, bro. Like I want Rico run on him. Yes, I do. I said it. Anyway, let's move along. I know, y'all, and thank you so much for putting up with me, everyone. I don't know what's going on today. I feel so mentally and clumsy. Once again, maybe it's just on the overstimulation, and we pray for better weather for tomorrow or whatever. I'm just saying things now. Anyway, from the Associated Press, 3 lawyers for the late Kremlin foe Alexei Navalny are convicted and sentenced to prison. 3 lawyers who represented the late Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny were convicted by a federal court, were convicted by a court Friday as part of the Kremlin's crackdown on dissent that has reached levels unseen since Soviet times. Vadim Kobzev, Igor Sergunin, and Alexei Lipster were already in custody and were given sentences ranging from 3.5 to 5 years by a court in the town of Petutsky, about 100 kilometers or 60 miles east of Moscow. They were arrested in October of 2023 on charges of involvement with extremist groups, as Navalny's networks were deemed by authorities. The case was seen as a way to pressure the opposition to discourage defense lawyers from taking political cases. Now, this to me is wild. Should I be surprised? No, but it's just it is the definition of overkill. Because why? Like Navalny is literally dead. He's gone. And the idea of saying like, hey, well, we nabbed these guys up, kind of post everything with Navalny because we wanted to send a message. So to go all the way here and say essentially we wanted to put a period on said message, we're giving them this time. It's just so overkill. Like, you've made your point. Like, Navalny literally rotted in jail, and I mean, who knows exactly how he passed. But also, I don't know if I even mentioned this, but I was listening to the BBC like after things had happened. I think this would have been months later, but it was either Putin or the Kremlin issued a statement saying, actually, we were like trying to work with like America to kind of get him out, which is like, okay, yeah, that those conversations are true, but we don't know how real that was. You know what I mean? There's been plenty talks of like prisoner swaps and things of that nature, but Navalny had been in the mix for a very long time. He had already been poisoned beforehand, before having to deal with all this extra legal shit on top of it. So once again, it's crazy to be like, you made such a spectacle of Alexei Navalny, right? That, not to mention, you've tried his wife in absentia, I believe, or like without a shadow of a doubt, if she came back to Russia, she would be arrested. I can't recall the details on that. Once again, sorry, but it's just crazy to say no. We have to get these guys, and they also, I think, tried to get a couple other people who were tied to Navalny's legal defense. But they were able to get away in December. Hold on, I go all the way down. Here we go. Independent Russian media reported Friday that Konstantin Kotov, an activist accused of donating to Navalny's organization, left Russia before he was due to appear in a Moscow court Friday. he told Mediazona he decided to leave after a heart surgeon, Dr. Ivan Tishchenko, was jailed for 4 years for donating about $34 to Navalny's organization, which is another thing we've reported too. That's such a petty thing, but Russia, like the Kremlin will literally be like, oh, you donated like $50 to the Ukraine effort. Like, you're done. You're going to jail. Like, same thing with something like this, where like you donated literally $34. Like, that is a pulse that doesn't do anything. That is like a gesture. And they're like, yeah, for that gesture, we're sending you to jail. Like, that's fucked up totalitarian bullshit, dude. Like, there's no reason for you to have to do this. You're doing it because you, once again, you want to send a message to the people and say, hey, if you even think about it, this is what's going to happen to you. Because really, and this is where I once again go back to the overkill thing, all Navalny did, all these lawyers did, was essentially say, hey, this guy needs a lawyer, and we're defending him. Like, that is the principle of what being a lawyer is. What is the other option? Like, because would you take a case in that situation now after hearing this, like after seeing this verdict? No, you pretty much have to be a state lawyer, and you're just saying, hey man, maybe we should just say you're guilty. Like, that would just be like maybe the most prudent thing to do. Because what do? Like, you can't do the right thing and defend your client to the best of your ability. They might call you an extremist for that. Like, god damn, dude. Like, that's crazy, dude. There's no way around it. That's so obtuse. It's so bad to do. So, we got to boo Russia on that one, bro. I got tomatoes for everybody. I'm not sitting on these. You got to throw them. You got to, because that's fucked up. And I mean, hey, I talk a lot of shit about America, but at least I can say it for the comfort of my armchair, and I know I'm good. I don't have to be like the blogger who like completely like dick sucks America. Like, no, I don't have to do that and be fine. I don't have to be Charlie Kirk. You can choose to be Charlie Kirk if you want to, or you can be like a good person. I don't know. You don't have to be Ben Shapiro. That's what I'm saying. Thank God. Thank God. Thank you, America, for that. You can be somebody else, but sadly, you're still stuck in this fucking imperial core hellscape, and we're still doing atrocities and shit. Anyway, speaking of that, let's recoup. What a wild episode. I feel like I've been rolling in my own shit here a bit, and for that, oops. But let's go ahead and take our last break, and we'll do a quick little update, and we'll call it a night or a day, depending on when you're listening to this. Oh yeah. Oh, actually, I gotta blog a little bit more. I left you hanging with Parking Gate. Ooh, sorry. I'm also drinking a mucho mango. Okay, so we got our spot back. I haven't seen the van that was parked there. I don't know what happened to it. I don't care. I got my spot back. Let's go. Clap it up. Hooey. Okay. Man. From the Hill. Israeli government approves ceasefire deal. Reports. So, pretty much, I just wanted to say this got approved. Also, I've said this before as well. It's crazy when I'm covering news that technically is from the future. For me, at least, as of recording this, right? With time zones and everything, how the world turns. They're already in Saturday or whatever. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But they have approved a ceasefire deal. It's crazy that they were pulling teeth over this shit for whatever bullshit detail thing that they were saying was the reason. Cool, but at least we can kind of move on into this. I know Sunday, I believe, is when it's supposed to start phase 1. It is a 3-phase plan. The start of the ceasefire on Sunday should present a 6-week period of peace between the Palestinian group Hamas and the Israeli military. The fighting is expected to halt while Israeli soldiers are set to retreat from the populated areas in Gaza. Let's see here. I'll just read it from here. The fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families. President Biden said on Wednesday. He added that the first phase of the three-phase plan, Americans are also expected to be released. I think I scrolled too far ahead. Here we go. Sorry. The beginning of the ceasefire will likely permit the freeing of 3 Israeli civilian female hostages held in Gaza on Sunday. So that's the first part. Then some 90 Palestinian female prisoners and children will be exchanged in return. The start of the ceasefire on Sunday should... Okay, I already read that part. I just read this out of order. My bad. I Tarantino'd it. Oopsie. So we will see how each of these phases go. I feel like there is hyper optimistic talk that like in the third phase of this, like we'll kind of get to a point where like things will be so stable. We'll be talking about like Palestinian like government infrastructure that everyone's happy with and okay with. But I don't know. Once again, we are pulling teeth at the start of this just to do prisoner exchanges, just to do a ceasing of violence. I heard a lot of talk from like people like Itamar Ben-Gvir, who was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking leave. I'm gonna like resign," essentially trying to collapse the party. Someone like him and Smoyrich. I remember his last name. I can't remember his first name. But essentially, very hard right, like of the Israeli cabinet, coalition, and essentially they're trying to still throw their weight around. But in this situation, Netanyahu, I think, has coalesced with enough center party people who would go along with something like this. I don't think that that's on accident. I think all this shit is by design. I think someone like Gavir is essentially, he was making these statements as he was making recently to just grandstand because he wants to continue this war. He wants to continue doing a genocide because it's like, why do we stop? He's like, no, if they just give us hostages, then yeah, we will stop and then maybe give them a little bit of humanitarian aid. That's another thing too. Humanitarian aid is also tied to this. That's also getting injected into this whole thing. So that's going to hopefully be resuming soon. Once again, I was waiting to talk about these details because shit is so tumultuous, and you think you have something and the next thing you know, there's airstrikes and more innocent people are just getting mowed down. Over 45,000 people, Palestinians, at least. That is a very lowballed number, by the way. Yes, you could go back to October 7th and talk about the 1,200 people. You can. But that there's just no justifications for any of this shit. Nor is that when this shit started. That is just a point in this conversation. But it has become all of it. And, not to mention we are still not at a place where we are talking about any Palestinian being treated like a human being and having, their country actually having any kind of sovereignty. That is like not even a thought. In fact, it is the opposite. It is something that is like being vehemently suppressed, even though it's not even something on the table. People just want you to stop killing people. But, I know I'm ending this in a bittersweet way. Nor I did not want to do that. But and in this way, we kind of have to on this subject, at least. It just kind of goes that way. So yeah, okay, we're back on the long episode. We ran a little bit longer, ran a little heavier. Thank you for bearing with me. If you made it all the way to the end of this episode, you're the best. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Let's see here. Oh, and speaking of socials, once I get this PlayStation 5 hooked up, if we're friends, hey, this is the bad signal. Hit me up. Let's exchange information. Maybe we can get on some games together. I'm down. Look, I will play some Fortnite maybe. No build. I will play some Apex Legends. That's free. All right. I'm down to do some free games. Maybe if there's like a cheap game I can digitally download. Though I do have to like literally go to GameStop because I got the long story short, it literally saved me money just to get the membership again for a year, but not have it auto renew, of course. Cool. But I also now I can go and get a discount on games that I digitally download. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. I might just be fat and lazy. But yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube. That is a free way to help out the effort. Hit the like, leave a cool comment. That is very helpful for the project, for the algorithm. But yeah, like I said, and once again, while I'm on the subject, because I might breeze past it for the TikTokers tomorrow. But thank you for listening. Thank you for trying this out. If you made it this far too, I mean, this is the big long TikTok, huh? Crazy. We do this every day. Anyway. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.